Splitting Hairs Podcast.
Welcome to the Splitting Hairs Podcast. Thank you for joining us. Another Friday Night Football edition. We're going to dive into all the goods, but before we do, want to shout out the Wild Hair of Brookings, South Dakota. They are running happy hour every day, 3 to 7, all day happy hour on Sundays and Tuesdays, $3 Wild Islands on Thursdays. Guess what they've got on Fridays? Fireball Friday, shots are $3. $1 tequila shots today as well, Friday only. $4 double wells Wednesdays and Friday. That's today. Game day specials on Saturday are $10 buckets of domestics, $22 buckets of seltzers, only during Jack's games. They also show all Jack's football and both men and women's basketball teams when they're rocking. So make sure you check them out and stay responsibly wild. Gentlemen, thank you for joining. Want to shout out Scotty for contributing to the blog. Dropped another banger. Went down the rabbit hole. He's going to take y'all with him. Make sure you check that out. That's at our Substack at Splitting Hairs Media. And you can check out all our stuff there. We've got a lot this year that we're giving you. We got Mad Minute Monday. I was traveling this week. It's the only time I was not able to get one out, but I've churned them out. And Brian, Scott, and Stack, when they get their homework in, and when I get my homework done, we get you the bits. So keep an eye out for the bits as well. Been a weird week, Scotty. It's improvement week. Have you improved on anything this week?
My health has improved since we last met. I'll say that.
You're well hydrated, got good electrolytes, and
I'm feeling a lot better. Have I improved? Well, I got some drywall patches I'm still working on in the basement when the plumbers had to come and saw into that stuff. So we're making progress, so that's good. Jackrabbits are 3-0 now too, so there you go.
And Stack is improving his bilingual or multilingual jargon here. He's in a Spanish class, and he's coming live. That's right. That's right. There we go. Stack, I was just asking Scotty if he's done anything to improve this week in honor of Improvement Week. How about yourself? Anything rocking and rolling, improving on?
I'd say improvement week this week. You know, we're hitting things pretty hard at the agency, trying to get our boys picked up. Isaiah and another one of our clients play this week, so been grilling their film hard, seeing who's going to do what. So it's an exciting week.
There you go.
Love it. Isaiah is really making an impact, as well as Tucker Kraft. Got to shout him out. What a savage in his last performance. Went for $124, I believe. The highest yard total for a tight end with the pack since Richard Rodgers, I believe. And 54 of that came on a Hail Mary, or 51, something like that. So Big Tuck is showing he can show up in the stat sheet as well as in the blocking game and all over the place.
This man Tucker might be the best tight end in the NFL. Like, no joke. Like,
all around, I think he's definitely got an argument for it, and we'll see. I mean, you said it, and I don't. It might have been you or Brian. Somebody said it, and I couldn't agree more. Like, the guy seems to just get more athletic with each passing year. I have not seen that happen with many people, if any. It's crazy, and it's not just because we're biased. Like, flip on the tape, you'll see it. His routes are crisper. He understands what he's supposed to do within the scheme. Just really fun to watch if you like tight end ball.
He seems to be more explosive than really any tight end that you notice right now. He just exudes energy. Like, and not that no one else does, but we'll just say he's just on an absolute heater right now.
Yeah, I mean, we got to say, I do believe the Colorado State guy, whose name right now escapes me with Arizona, he's amazing. He's got an Irish name, right? McBride. Yeah. Trey McBride.
Yeah,
Trey McBride with Arizona is a savage. Obviously, you got Brock Bowers. He's a little bit hampered. He's got a knee brace on, so his explosiveness, obviously, he's like a 4-4 burner. But Tuck's power and his ability to get open and snatch the ball out of the air is just next level right now. So exciting stuff.
He's got like the real athleticism of like a D end. You know what I'm saying? Like a true like edge explosive guy. Like Tucker's like that, which is kind of what you don't really find at tight end, I think.
Right? Yeah, he could legitimately be an edge, probably. You know, if you train him up on it, he's got that type of mobility and swivel and really just again really exciting to watch. But of course, Goddard, another amazing tight end. He's been hampered with an injury, I believe a hamstring or something like that, but just really solid output from the Jacks again, TEU. But gentlemen, this past week I was excited to see, and we should let the people know you were talking about Isaiah Stallbird, not Isaiah Davis, but either way, two Isaiahs in the league doing their thing for the Jacks. And Zay, obviously RBU, helping us get that moniker going, right? We have a new batch of running backs that got to be on full display as we dipped into the depth chart even more. And Corey Blair got some action this past weekend. What were our thoughts on the performance from the RB room?
I think it's cool to see how a lot of them are you're seeing flashes of like what our offense could turn into with them. Like, I think with Blair, it could be a lot more that mid zone that we saw with Pierre. You know, obviously he's got a smaller frame, so he's like one of those guys that you could see doing that. Like, you could see him when he's running. You're like, yeah. So like, you know, to see him do that and see how he's going to develop and how that could open up our playbook even more. Like, that's, I think, is the most exciting thing about seeing what different running backs can do. It's what it can do for your playbook. So,
yeah, I think once they really learn how to follow their blockers as well, there's a couple times, you know, I didn't get to see the entire game, but just watching them, you can see there's athleticism there, there's quickness and everything. But once they really learn how to follow those blockers, follow the offensive linemen, you know, they're really going to be able to pick up their lanes and really get through there. And they already did a good job of it anyway, of squeezing through some smaller holes that might have been there. But once they really get a little bit more experience and really learn how to follow those linemen, I think it's going to be really exciting once they get a little bit more experience.
And it's great to have a guy like Loffridge, you know, shoulder the load, get the bulk of the carries, and they can learn and he can mentor them, explain to them what he's seeing as he's making his reads, understanding where how the defense is going to flow to certain looks and certain play calls. I was very, very impressed with Blair, though. I got to say, I think he really upped the ante in that running back room. His patience, especially on his touchdown run, and his sheer knack to get into the end zone, I thought showed an indomitable will, right? Which I really was hoping to see from that group. Who's going to step up and who's going to be that next guy up? Was it going to be Basinger, who's obviously shown that he has a burst? He's done pretty well, but I believe Corey's first tote was like, you know, a big explosive play, 40-plus yards. Again, you got to consider the level of opponent. I do think Drake showed some real promise on offense. They certainly have talent. I don't think they should have scored as many points as they did, and certainly their last touchdown, you could call it possibly garbage time, but regardless, you got to keep them out. You got to have some pride there. But from an offensive, sorry, go ahead. What do you got?
I was gonna say, and what's weird, and like, you know me, you know, I'm not one to give people excuses ever when it comes to you know, playing Drake and all that stuff. Like, but this is one of the better, like, seeing it in person, this is one of the better coach Drake teams like I've ever seen. Like,
that's a really good offensive coach.
Yeah, they were scheming up and stuff. Like, I was honestly pretty impressed with some of the shit that they were drawing up. They had wide receivers wide open, which could be a breakdown in coverage, but I was pretty impressed with how they were moving. They played really well too, I think, but they had some cool stuff drawn up.
Yeah, when it was scripted, like, you know, beginning of the half, like first drive, like shit like that, like they were actually really good. And like, obviously we're going to have to play really good opponents, right? In the playoffs, like, we can't be like, oh, they were good. Like, it's okay that we let up 21 points. But I mean, you know, when you say like Drake, this isn't like, you know, 2016 Drake, like dropping 21 points, right? And like, and I think it just shows that, you know, every week you're going to have to take everybody dead serious. Because at this point, you're going to get everyone's best shot. So,
right.
Yeah, and they are back-to-back Pioneer League champs. So, I mean, they are doing what they're supposed to do in their division. And, of course, they're no stranger to Valley competition. I believe they play USD this week. And the spread, if anybody has seen it, is quite small.
3.5.
Yeah, and, you know, Look, I don't like anybody other than our alma mater, right? Really, I like them, and I'm a begrudging Vikings fan because of my family ties up there. But when you look at what's happened to USD, you kind of feel for them because they lost a lot through the portal. Yeah, I mean, feel for them in the sense.
I say I don't feel for them at all.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, but one of the prominent running backs in the entire classification is down for the season now, and that's just a bummer. You never want to see that. Yeah, Charles Pierre, he's out. So
yeah, you feel for him in that it's good for the FCS as a whole when they are good. So I mean, I don't care.
I don't care if they lose every game from here to eternity. But the reality is, you never want to see guys go down. You want to beat them at full strength.
Yeah, beat them at their best for sure.
Right. And Seth makes a good point here. Their offense, they being Drake, showed a lot of similarities to kind of get the ball out quick, a lot like UND a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was pretty impressive getting all the way down to QB number 3 in their roster and what he was able to do in terms of, getting the ball out on schedule, on time, extending plays, finding open guys. Really, I think that unstructured stuff, that's kind of a frustrating thing that the Jacks run into, and they'll have to get it shored up. But Joe Ullman, couldn't say enough about him, man, showing up every week and putting his fist on the ball, creating another fumble, turning the ball over for the Jacks, which is what you want to see. Really exciting stuff out of him. I thought our D-line played pretty well as it related to the run game. I just think that when you look at certain lanes, when I did the rewatch, you're seeing guys who are maybe either trying to make a play and not adhering to their gap responsibility and getting caught. Stack, what did you see?
I know exactly who you're talking about too. Yeah, we're not here to call people, but I know the exact person you're talking about. And when you've made a lot of plays in your career, I actually get it. When he did that, I was I feel you, but to a degree, when you do that, you better make it, right? That's what your coach is going to tell you. Hey man, this worked here, but you do this, you better make it. When you don't, we all see it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? So obviously, I'm not going to sit here and tell him oh, dude, don't ever do that again because you've done that a million times, and I've loved it when you've done it and it worked. But you just got to be. You got to be cognizant of being gap sound and a lot of that stuff. So
big time. And, a couple other things that I saw, Dan makes that great point. Yeah, those unstructured plays continue to kind of be a plague, but that's really the nature of the game, right? That dual threat quarterback situations or guys who can extend, we got to have an answer for that. And I'm firmly confident we will. We don't need to act like the sky's falling or anything because teams are going to score points. I would say that's because other guys are on scholarship too, but they weren't for Drake. But they did have some nice transfers. I think there was a guy from UNLV that showed up consistently. Just a lot of surprising talent in that area. God, is Des Moines a big in to draw people?
Sorry, what was that you cut?
Is Des Moines a big beacon to draw people or what?
I mean, I don't know. I think Drake's a pretty good school. Des Moines is a nice little city. It's pretty similar to Omaha, I think. I don't know that it's the pinnacle of nightlife and a draw for a lot of stud football players, but I mean, I'd say it's a decent town. But
that was entirely rthorical, but I mean, Des Moines is pretty bad. But I was just impressed by their talent. You got to give flowers to teams when they've got it. Now, I'm not going to pull out a Denny Green and be like, you want to crown them? Because we're not trying to crown anybody here. But I just think the Jacks, game 3 coming off of 2 pretty emotional games, obviously you have all the offseason emotion. And then you go out to Montana State and you're out in Bozeman and you have a double overtime victory, a lot of travel coming back. You're probably feeling yourself if you're one of the guys on the squad and you like where you're positioned moving forward. And then you kind of, maybe don't take the opponent for granted, but there's too much of probably an expectation hey, we can just suit up and get it done. Because again, these are 18 to 22-year-old kids, but that's just not the case in football anymore.
Yeah. And I think it's good that they had a game like this right now, right? kind of get not, and I wouldn't even say it was like the craziest wake up call either, but like it was just to kind of show you that like, hey, like we're not invincible. Like these guys are good, right? Like we're going to be playing better competition than this, and these guys are good. You know what I'm saying? So you'd rather them have this moment now than like have it when you're playing it against NDSU or playing against UNI or something like that, and then now it's too late because I already jumped all over you. You know what I mean?
100%. I think it bodes well when you look at our non-conference schedule being pretty competitive this year.
Yep.
And in years past, when we've had a little bit too soft of a non-conference schedule, you're going right into Valley play and you haven't really been tested enough to know what you really have. So I think that is a good outlook. Scott, you got something?
Just kind of reiterating the same thing. I think Dan Jackson went on with Gaskins earlier this week and just said, both teams are completely different. Gaskins brought up when we played him at Target Field, 70-7. That's not going to happen every time you play a team. I think they were down that year, and we obviously had one of the best FCS teams ever that year. So you're not just going to run past everybody. And it's good to have a little bit of that adversity so you kind of figure out where your holes are, where you need to improve on stuff. If stuff goes too well, what do you know you need to change? So especially like Stack said, someone like this, it's good that it happened now instead of, when your back's against the wall and you need 7 points with, 3 minutes left in the game and you're down by a touchdown against NDSU. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but
and it's not like the Augie game last year where it was like, what
right.
the hell just happened? Like, you know what I mean? Like they were in control the whole time. Drake literally just made some good plays. Like it wasn't like,
Exactly.
Yeah, like it was like they came in and played a respectable football game. They got out-talented. And I think one thing that I kind of noticed a little bit, and this is going to sound weird because like, how I would preach to y'all a couple of weeks ago, I think some of those pressures I've seen, and I don't know if you guys agree, this one, I'm asking you, but it looks like sometimes like let's say Sam will be like running someone straight up field, right? Chase will kind of bail to the outside, kind of like into the pressure opposed to bailing like up the middle, like stepping up. Mm-hmm. So like seeing it in person, like on film it did look like sometimes like our offensive line were cutting dudes loose, but like in person, like I could see it unfold and like see like, oh, you had space right there, like climb, don't roll out.
Well, and again, what is he's probably got all of 80 reps now as a starting quarterback in live situations where he's starting it off. So, that's still a very small sample, and he continues to, impress me. I don't know about you guys. I always kind of just wanted to reserve full judgment on a guy until you see him more and more in live game scenarios. And his arm is one of the livest I've ever seen. I'm talking all levels here, guys. Like it's just to have some questionable mechanics at times, and to be able to have that ball just fire off of his hand is insane. And he's throwing guys open. He's putting the ball in only spots where his guys can get it.
That back shoulder throw to Grosky, I think it was.
On the sideline.
Yeah.
That's an NFL level throw. And I'm going to give some flowers here too. The last guy at this level that I saw make throws like that across the field on a rope like that was Carson Wentz. And he did it against us in 2015. And I was just like, my God. Chase Mason is now doing that, and then even up in the ante. So we've seen
what Wentz like a true athlete. You know what I mean?
True athlete. Yeah, we've
seen
what
you hear that ball when it goes through the air.
Yeah, it whistles, right? And you see what Wentz has been able to do. He's going to start, for the Vikes this week. So obviously a big ceiling for Chase, and he's only going to get more and more comfortable. And he, this is a phenomenal point here by Cody. He's being smart with the football. I think a lot of times when you look at the aspect of decision making, that's taken for granted. Like I think that was probably one of Mark's biggest strengths. He wasn't going to put the ball in harm's way too often. And when he was taking shots, he was putting it where his guys could get it. Chase has done that so far. I think also his pocket presence in knowing to step up into the pocket will only come with further reps. And to be quite honest, I think maybe a little bit of the skittishness not stepping back up into the pocket is likely coming from one of our weaker aspects of the offensive line, right? Brand new center who really is still trying to get acclimated to live game speed against big time players. So I think
I also think, I mean, to a degree too, like I don't think it's necessarily like a horrible thing either that he scrambles outside, because I'm imagining in his head he's probably saying like, I'll beat the guy at the edge, right? Like that's probably how he's feeling. Like if I roll out and like I don't see nothing I like, beating that guy at the edge, and I'm getting me an easy 3 or 4, right? I'm saying, I mean, dude, the type of athlete he is, big dog, listen to me, you get an easy 3 or 4 anywhere.
Right. I would like to
the type of
say
athlete he is, bro, like it.
Some of his decision making when he does take off and run with it has been top notch. Like he's not taking shots he doesn't need to.
Right.
On the other hand, he's taking some shots he absolutely doesn't need to, and he still can probably get down a little sooner. But again, that's probably having an overwhelming level of confidence in his own ability, and it's really hard to teach a competitor to stop competing. And if I had an inkling of his ability, I would probably be doing the same thing. But we got to keep you healthy, big man.
When you were playing, he was playing 9-man, correct, at Viborg Hurley. When you're Chase Mason and you're playing 9-man at Viborg Hurley, how many kids are you going to absolutely run over that you're not even going to feel, as compared to some D1? I mean, that's just something he has to learn, which he will, obviously. But the last time, we've gone over this how many times, the last time before this year that he started an actual football game
with 11 players on defense.
Well, that's first time ever, right? This year.
First time ever is this year. And let's be real, his years at Viborg Hurley were a while ago. But like we just mentioned, he hadn't been the guy to go up against, a true 11 on defense until this year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, more gimmicky packages, using him as a gadget type player. And now you look at this year too. And let's be honest, Scott, Viborg Hurley 9-man, of course, but he could do that against a lot of guys, even in the Valley and in the FCS. That's what we're kind of pointing to. It's like that overwhelming confidence, but now he's got to kind of convert that mindset to, I am the guy. Let's go ahead and not take those unnecessary shots. And of course the coaches are repping that with him. That's just something that I noticed, where there's improvement and there's still more room. This is a good point here too by Seth. The teams have been throwing a lot of blitzes to try to manufacture a rush, right? And then they haven't been picked up. And then obviously Chase, yes, definitely learning how to navigate the pocket. And then, needing other guys to get open and be coverage breakers outside of just Lofton. Bullock stepped up this weekend, got his first touchdown. I really like what I see out of him. Obviously, he has elite game experience coming from Nebraska. I want to see Isaiah Garcia Castaneda step up a bit. I think his time to shine is coming yet. And, really excited about the room as a whole. Want to see the tight ends step up, right? I want to see them step up in the run game and blocking, especially, but definitely, I mean, I don't know what's Coleman Kuntz. I don't know his status, if he's still dinged up. Love what I saw out of Delahoyde in terms of what he did against Montana State. I think there's real upside there in the receiving game. But gentlemen, that's kind of my takeaways. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, the tight ends have really, they've been catching some good passes. It's been nice to see them in the receiving game, like you're saying. I have noticed, though, especially this week, several, missed blocks where, the edge just goes right around them, or, pulls a move and just gets past them almost like it's nothing. And they get, into the pocket where Chase has to scramble and get outside or whatever, or they blow something up and Loffridge has to, he only gets 2 yards instead of 5 or 6. So I think that's something they really need to shore up on the receiving end. Yeah, like you said, I think they're pretty solid as long as we try to engage them. Grayton Gannon looks almost like a Dallas Goedert reincarnate as far as an athlete goes. So I think there's a lot to explore there.
Ooh. Okay.
that caught you off guard, huh?
Don't be just throwing that DG out there like that.
He looks big and he looks fast. And I'm not saying I'm not, predicting the future or anything, but just looking at him, he looks the part.
Definitely. Oh, for sure. He certainly has the the intangibles in order to get in and out of his breaks. And he does look fluid out there. I think he's coming off an injury too. So, that's even more kudos to him to be able to bounce back. But, obviously maturity too. He's a young dad. That's pretty impressive. And he's going out there and making plays with his kiddo being able to at least watch in some capacity, which is kind of cool. I do want to mention this. I don't know if Matthew's a fan of our pod. Maybe he's an NDSU fan. They do have a starter too, who's getting his first year real action. And
Cole Payton.
Cole Payton is the top rated quarterback, I believe, at all levels, according to PFF. So that's pretty impressive. It's going to be interesting to watch kind of this parallel quarterback duel as it emerges before we see him in Brookings this season. So I'm interested. Their offense too is highly conservative. They haven't played too stout of a non-conference schedule. Certainly not a Montana State on the road, and it's been pretty cool to see, just how we've handled our non-conference, how they've handled their non-conference, and to see how this battle will continue to play out before we clash. Is there a big of a gap? Matthew asks, is there a big a gap between number 1 and 2 teams collectively as a whole? That's a tough question.
We haven't seen enough yet. That's why.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's a great.
I'm gonna need NDSU to play somebody who's like worth something, and then after that, and not to say because they could very well be neck and neck, or NDSU could be a little bit better, or the Jacks could be a lot better. But we haven't seen enough out of who North Dakota State has played it. They haven't been tested yet. A lot of the way we feel about the Jacks now. Yeah, we've literally seen them go to the wire, with a squad. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen that in North Dakota State. So I can't just crown them as yeah, dude, it's comparable. I don't know yet. We have to see them play somebody that's not. I'm not going to offend anyone. But.
Yeah, right. No, they've looked the part against who they're supposed to look the part against, but they just haven't. You can only play who's on your schedule, but they just haven't been tested, and obviously we'll see it. So, and people, jumping all over the rankings and stuff, and I see people saying SDSU should have it, and we certainly have the better resume, but I mean,
if you're 1 and 2, it doesn't make it.
Yeah, right. So it's gonna get settled in October, so that. It's not really that big of a deal. I let people argue. It's fun to argue, but
no, I think it's just a good question just to mull over currently. I think one of the big things is you got to consider they have their coaching staff maintained, relatively speaking. They did have a retirement in the offseason, and they also have a guy that has been in their system, and they also have one of the better receivers in the subdivision, and so there's certainly things going in their favor that the Jacks didn't have. So I think, you could also make an argument that what the Jacks have done is way more impressive, bringing in 65 plus new guys and trying to integrate them and an entire coaching staff. So I think that's, speaking of
their wide receivers too, dude, how is Roger Nelson still in college? I watched one of their games the other day. I was like, what the fuck? This dude's 30. This dude was playing when I was playing. I'm there's no way.
He's on that Van Wilder program.
Yeah, no kidding. Tommy boy.
That's right.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
The old Bert Kreischer path.
Get a job.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we should transition to the defense as a whole. I think some of the things I want to touch on here, I did notice, our secondary, there were some times where I think that they flat out got beat by some pretty solid schemes, some right route concepts, some coverages. Maybe we weren't getting home like we expected. And again, more unstructured plays where Drake was able to get off, but also they had a lot of opportunities where they were in the spot, right time, and they did not turn the ball over and snag the interceptions. But they did make the tough interceptions off tips, like Noah Thompson. So he had a chance to make one he should have made, and then he made one that he probably shouldn't have made. So, again, guys playing getting a lot of new reps out there in real time, and it's something that they got to capitalize on consistently, I think. What was your takeaway, Phil?
One thing, like that tight end pop pass, like that always just like, I hate seeing that just because like that'll get you beat, like in like good games.
The steam beater.
So like it's a good thing that we just seen it just now because like I'm not sure. I think it was North Dakota State, like that college game day or something like that. We got hit with one of those, and like that was the deciding score in the game, or like it was something like that. But like, not saying that it's you just got to lock in on your responsibility every play, right? Like you can't just get caught up in the the same old like, oh, inside zone here, inside zone there, I deflect the pass. So you got to just be aware of that at all times. So seeing it this early in the season, I'm glad that I'm guessing we probably won't get hit with that again. The boys are on top of that, but defensively, like, that's the one thing that stuck with me. Like we can't let those off, bro.
It's so consistently run now too. I wouldn't even call it gimmicky, but it's definitely a nice wrinkle and scheme beater. And it's one of those plays that kept Holy Cross, if you guys remember that play in the playoffs, that kept Holy Cross in that game to that point. So, I mean, one play like that, to your credit, Stack, in bringing it up, one play like that can change the whole complexion against a good team. So you gotta make sure we just are adhering to our responsibilities and not overplaying or overflowing or trying to be the guy and not adhere to your role. I agree with Dan big time on this. I didn't love the tackling. I think guys were flying around, but I didn't notice the swarm as much. Maybe that's just my recollection, but didn't feel like a typical Jack's pursuit type game. Some guys had moments, but I think just generally speaking, as a whole, we can do better there.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of arm tackling and just kind of, you grab onto their leg and let them carry you for 1.5 yards and then have someone else come up and shove them. It just felt a little bit lackluster as far as, being crisp or getting hats on the ball. Just left a little bit to be desired. And, maybe the competition is kind of what drives that, and an emotional win from last week. But, now, like we've said before, now we just know a little bit more that we can fix going forward. We got the bye week and then another non-conference game next week to apply those things that you work on throughout the next week.
Also, this is one thing I want to bring up when we're talking about the defense. Logan Green is very quietly having an All-American type season off rip. Yes. Bro's got like 3 sacks already. I just want to get that out there. Like, bro, yes, at DT, and it's not like he's like how Sanders is, where he's like a crazy, like he's really just like manhandling dudes into the quarterback, long arms, forklifts, hump moves. Yep. Like, listen, we gotta keep an eye on him because I will not be surprised at all if he's an All-American at the end of this deal.
Right.
Yeah. Well put. Stack, what did you like or didn't like out of the rest of the D line?
I'll say like Nick Wells playing a little bit more. Like you can see him kind of getting more acclimated to everything. I didn't think that our pass rush lanes were the greatest this game. So like I could like sometimes like when the quarterback escapes out and can roll out, like that's why. And it is because some guys are like bailing on like, let's say like on some of those inside zones, like you'll backdoor it because like you've done it before and it works. You know what I mean? So playing a little bit more disciplined football is what I'd like to see out of our group as a whole, because like, bro, we know you can make those plays. I've seen you make those plays, right? But you don't want to do it so consistently to where now it's every other time you're not in that front side A gap or front side B gap. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of the chain game production and from the front seven, just generating pressure, getting home. We got home 4 times, so we had 4 sacks for 22 total yards of loss. Mm-hmm. When we just look at third down conversions, we held them to 4-13, so pretty good in terms of what you like to see. Fourth down conversions, they were 100% at 101, and they were 2 of 2 in the red zone. That cannot happen, just not at all. Now, 2 of those were field. No, they weren't. 1 was a touchdown. 1 was a field goal. But just can't happen. I think when we look at yardage, yardage is kind of like way too high here. They racked up 295 yards of total offense. I think we can do far better, holding them around the 200 mark. So they had about 100 or so yards of net there that we would like to have held them from. In terms of penalty yardage, we actually gave them a first down on a couple plays. So definitely want to curb that and get off the field when we can. And then, we were able to to score a turnover through a fumble and then through a pick. So, doing things to show up in the stats in terms of the overall time of possession. This is kind of what irks me. We possessed the ball. Time of possession, where is it? 32, 30 to their 27. Obviously, they went on some longer extended drives late when they were going for it and stuff like that. But, for us to have almost 450 yards of total offense, only score 37 points, we got to do way, way better converting on third down, because our sustained drives so far this year have been pretty abysmal.
Yeah.
When you look at our third down conversion rate being around
Poor.
It's just poor. Yeah. It's really bad.
We're 3 of 9, it looks like, for this game. What were we against Montana State? 1 of 15 or 2 of 15?
3 of 9, and we were 1 of 13 against Montana State, at least in regulation, right?
So 4 of 22.
4 of
That's
22
bad.
is really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like less than 20%.
And 3-0 is crazy.
Yeah.
Right. We also, we got to talk about the kicking game. In terms of kicking, we got to see better production from, is it Strader, Eli Strader, and, Harrington popping in there and kicking a field goal, I believe. So, are we going to see a switch at that position to give other guys a shot to show that they can be productive in those situations? That's going to be huge.
So it seems
one
like
of-
kickers
one
are,
of two.
we're going to have to start testing these kickers for juicing.
Yeah, he's a big dude, rocking number 81.
You see that high schooler that? Yeah, I'm like, who is that? Because I was at the game, like, who is this dude?
This is a phenomenal question.
But yeah, I
we're,
think
we're consistently tops of the subdivision right now, and it's crazy because our third down conversion statistics are probably lowest in the subdivision, if not
Holy
one
cow.
of the lowest.
110th.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Jesus.
Damn.
Who's
Yeah.
behind us? That's a question
Yeah,
I
exactly.
need to ask.
Yeah.
Who are those 20 squad?
Yeah, so it's crazy when good point, Matthew. When you have 2 kickers, you have none. This is why we brought our purported starting kicker in literally the week before we were set to play. So kind of crazy. We gotta shore that up before we get into the nitty gritty with some more competitive opponents here.
Right.
You're not messing around. Shit.
Yeah, it hasn't hurt us yet, but you never want that to come back and bite you.
No, right. I think that kicker, well, he went to Northwestern Iowa. I grew up only a half hour from Orange City there, and they're consistently one of the top programs in NAIA. And I really do think he wouldn't have been playing for him if he wasn't good. But I think it's just one of those things. He's got to make it past that adjustment up to D1 here. And I think he'll be fine. It's just a matter of getting that confidence, playing in DJDS every week. And we'll have to see. If it doesn't happen, then obviously we got others. But he's got the talent for sure.
Well, that's just it, Scotty. Clearly, he's got the talent. He's got the production.
Mhm.
But, kicking is so mental.
Yeah.
It should be the same. It should be the same here as Northwestern, as wherever. But I think when the stakes are a little higher and the atmosphere is a little more jumping, possibly it's getting to him. But,
Right.
I'd love to see him get off the schneid. You can't be missing multiple. I think he's got 3 or 4 missed field goals this year that are certainly makeable from what we've seen from his ability. So
Right.
Who wants that job? Looks like it's up for grabs currently, and we'll see who takes it. Speaking of DJD Stadium, pretty impressive turnout, man. The Jacks were in black. It was the Beef Bowl.
Mhm.
I was talking to Zenner this week. He didn't tune into the game live because of the opponent, which might be an argument for potential FBS, just seeing a more prominent brands which I'm not advocating for, but it's just worth noting that a lot of these, non-conference FCS games, they're just duds, and they don't move the needle. But that's what I'm trying to get to here. Incredible turnout and show out from the crowd. What did you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think there was 19-2 there. So, I mean, just short of a sellout. I mean, all the tickets were sold, so it was technically a sellout. So it looked great on TV. That all black, some people don't like it. I've always loved it. It looks awesome, especially once it gets dark out. Yeah.
Stack, what do you think about the all black?
What do I think about it, huh? I don't know. If y'all want me to tell the truth, I kind of like the older ones, like the jersey. I think the helmets are sweet. Like, and I like the curved deal. Like, I don't know how the old ones look. I don't know. But then again, I might take some ones we wore. So.
Well, we caught about every third word of that.
Old short jerseys.
We caught about every third word of that. Your speech was camouflage. Your speech was camouflage like you would be in an all-black uniform, which would make you stealthy and more dangerous.
They don't want to see me in that. They don't want to see me in that game.
Love it. Well, yes. So in terms of all black, Scotty and I are
Can you guys hear me yet? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now. There must be a delay. You're working off that dial-up. So we got – I was thinking about –
Oh, yeah, dude, I had to turn the hotspot on.
That's right. Super delayed.
There you go.
Thinking about doing the Stone Cold in honor of the All Blacks with these LaCroix here, but my wife would literally kill me for that in her office. Technically my office, but really it's hers. You guys know the drill.
Yeah.
Stack is being censored. Absolutely. Yep. It's AI censorship. They definitely know when he's about to speak.
Yeah.
No, it's but in terms of the black unis, I love the black threads. I think they made a gross error though, because you got to think about from a fan perspective. You cannot go black unis and blue numbers because they, even the PA announcer couldn't see what guys were making the plays and was misnaming them. And I don't think he would actually misname them as consistently as he did had those numbers been popping. So I like them trying to do something new and different. You can't go blue. And you guys already know, I've told you guys ad nauseum about the screen print. Come on, man.
We got a
budget of $10 million and we're screen printing stuff on. Get that. That's what do you think about that, Stack?
I don't know. Can you guys hear me yet? Can you guys
Yeah.
hear me now?
Clearly. Can you hear me now?
All right,
Good.
sweet. Yeah, I don't like that either. I like the blue on black. I was like, bro, I don't know why. It seems like SDSU is afraid of yellow these days. I don't know what it is, and it's starting to annoy me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think Coach Jackson probably just want to put his own stamp on it, and I get it, but you don't go – it's like, did you have an O-lineman consultant with you on this? Like not having the swag to know to put bright numbers on a black uniform? Come on, man. And why do we have an allergy? Like, I'm just going to rant and be an old man here. Why do we have an allergy to just rocking white numbers, right? White rabbit on the helmet with black, just it's like make that pop. Make it a true blackout game similar to Scotty's flag that he's got behind
There you
go. The rabbit. We're taking you down the rabbit hole with our critique of the unis.
Yeah, there you go. Now it could always be what was that one they wore? They wore the black jerseys with white pants and blue helmets. That was real nice, wasn't it? The Oreo year, right?
For a blackout game. That was Stack was playing. Stack was still rocking.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you love that.
We put Bell that game. He was looking crazy though. He was looking crazy that game.
This is an interesting point since we're just on banter time right now. I think the stadium definitely has more potential to add seats. I'm not so sure that's in the mix in terms of investment. I definitely think I know we're getting an upgrade to the locker room, which is going to be dope. There's been huge investment on the nutrition side with training table for the boys and all different stuff. Obviously, the threads that you're seeing. I think the next step in terms of fan experience, and you guys let me know, but they need to create some type of like landing with a beer garden or something and just allow for standing room because Scott and I can speak to it. Back when we were in school, I was playing, but Scott could experience it. I loved having the fans walk up on the fence and have standing room. It just kind of created like a more cozy, contained atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great. That south end, it was just a chain link fence. You could go up there and just lean against it and give the opposing players all the shit you wanted. It was a lot of fun. It'd be pretty cool to do that. At some point it would be cool to add us. This is, maybe a big deal, but adding a second deck on that east side and then having an area like a mezzanine level that you could stand underneath that second deck behind that first deck, and then you'd have some standing room only there, and then the second.
Let him cook.
But
let him cook. Scotty's cooking today. He's comparing Ranger Cannon to Dallas Goddard. And he's talking about second decks at Dana J.
Yeah, that's right. They need a video board on the north end, but not the one hanging from a telehandler that works half the time. They need more student seating so they could go up a second deck above the current one, next on either side of the south scoreboard. I thought about this shit a lot. So
yeah, I love it.
I can tell, bro. And we need our student section to be somewhere near their team.
Yes, the opposing bench.
Yes.
Like every stadium you go to has that at the FBS level. Went to watch the Cougs have a difficult time of it against UNT, and UNT's student section sitting all behind their bench.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, and I think I think the only other team that doesn't, I want to say North Dakota State doesn't do that either. But I'm like, dude, screw them. Like, sit our guys right behind that team. Like that makes the games way more fun.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Get in their head a little bit, make the atmosphere more difficult and challenging. But again, can't say enough good things about the turnout at Dana J and just the brand that's been built by the guys like in your class stack, even before. Really just upping the ante and making people turn out, at Dana J. Because I think one thing that I want to get into too, as we get into our Q1 report card for the team as a whole, and some other talking points is with the new changes with NIL, with the transfer portal, with guys being able to get a bag and kind of use the FCS as a springboard. You better get and watch these guys now, because you never know how long they're going to have a tenure at South Dakota State, given the nature of the game.
Right. Until they come up with some sort of contract deal or whatever, an actual like time bound. Like if you take money now, you're not going to be able to transfer until you're a grad student, or at least bring that back, that 1 year delay back. If you're taking NIL money, you're not going to take $1 million here and then transfer the next year because someone else wants you to come and play for some G5 for $1.2 million for, that's something's got to change. And I think it will too. We're still
up today, bro. What's got into you?
What's up?
He had a shot of espresso from Cottonwood,
I said, you going crazy today, bro. I'm like, okay, Scotty, we just gonna let you talk, gang. You got it. You got it, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah, it'll happen at some point where they bring time bound contracts into it. But right now, to your point, you do not know how long some of these budding stars are going to stick around, and you can't blame them either. So you got to get there and you got to see them.
Yeah, 100%. Like I would take a real shot to go see Lofton Ogroski play. I would take a real shot. Last year, Chase Mason is going to be playing college ball. Really, really need to go support these guys as much as you possibly can. Logan Green having a hell of a year. Got to go watch him play. Right. I mean, Joe Ullman, like what a freak. 3 straight games causing fumbles, man. That's like video game stuff.
Right. Colin McShane is a man on hinge right now. He's so fun to watch. Flies around. I tweeted
in college football and tackles. I think he's still up there like top 10 or something like that. It's insane.
Yeah. So there's a real pool of talent that we've got, and you don't know how long it's going to be there is the main message here. And it's so funny that you talk about that as people are blowing up the chat here with different suggestions. I think it's so weird how it was so constrictive, in terms of transfer rules and whatnot. and should they get paid or not? Is name, image, and likeness going to enter the fold? And then now they completely overcompensated, and there was like free transfer opportunities, and now you can get paid whatever, and nothing was regulated. They took the governor completely off, and now you just see pure chaos, and it's just not good for the brand of ball. No. And think about it from a coaching perspective. This is what I wanted to rant on. This is the church that I'm going to take them to today with a little sermon here, Stack, in your honor. Yes, it's got to be incredibly difficult to get after guys nowadays in terms of providing harsh, critical, but necessary feedback when they're producing. You got your top talent producing, and they might dip the next year. Like, I would think that, you know, they're going to be themselves, but that still has to be playing in the back of their mind. Like, I got to kind of cater to them to some degree because I need to maintain my roster, because we're not equipped with the resources to constantly be going at the portal, you know, mid-season or after the season or what have you.
I see. I like where you're going here, and we're going to walk that to its logical conclusion too. When you mix that, and y'all gonna hate what I'm going to say, you'll mix that with dudes who are like inherently more soft these days. You have you're just waiting on a ticking time bomb for just like for player-led teams, right? To where, you know, the rules are different for this guy than they are for this guy, right? And like, that's not what football is. And I know I'm sure that's not what it is at South Dakota State, but I'm saying like in general at mass, right? For some of these schools where, you know, if this dude's kind of dogging a little bit, well, like, you know, we're giving him a couple of mils, so like, and he can go wherever he wants. So if I say something and I hurt his feelings, which won't take a whole lot these days, like, now I'm SOL, this guy's gone, and they're looking at me like, you just wasted our $2 million, you're fired. Like, yeah,
you read my mind, man. That's exactly what I'm alluding to. And, you know, I've gotten a chance to go see some games and hear some things from some players who've produced, and hear some things from just younger kids in the prep ranks. And, you know, they'll make a play, and then their coach will try to still give them some corrective feedback, some hard coaching, or, you know, some tips and pointers so that they can make the play better next time, potentially a more impactful play. And they take that personally and focus on the criticism as if they've not done their job, when in reality, you got to be curious, have a growth mindset, and understand that it's for your continued development. Like, it's constant progression needs to be the goal, and focus on the process. And I just think with all these competing incentives, like, am I going to South Dakota State because I love the game of ball? I want to bond with a unit that I come in with, or am I just trying to go to grab a bag and dip? And then for a coach, like, how do you maintain cohesion with that?
This is the dystopian future of football, man. That's where we are right now. And like, this is one thing that, you know, even like at work, you kind of have to tell people this, like, hey man, like, when you went to whatever school you went to, right? Like, you didn't go there because like that's where all the money was. Like, you went there because like that was love of the game there, right? So when it's next level and things don't look, you know, things may not pan out the way you want them to, like, you want to keep playing, we got to play wherever. You know what I mean? So, and when you kind of take that away, you take away like love of the game, like and you put money in there to dudes who are like 19,
right?
Like, and you're making them you're putting them in the driver's seat. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't take care of kids. Like, you 1,000,000,000% should, right? These kids shouldn't have to worry about paying their rent. They shouldn't have to worry about their gas money, or like food, like stuff like that. But like, men, let's like, there's a happy medium, right? And we are far on. We have swung to the other end of the pendulum here.
Right.
Yeah.
I think at some point too, these NIL groups are at a certain point, they're just going to be like, well, we're not just going to start paying guys or keep paying guys, you know, however million a year just to come and play for 1 year. At a certain point, they're going to be like, you're going to be here for at least 2 or at least 3, depending on how much they're going to pay. So it's going to be, I mean,
kind get your money on the back end, buddy.
Yeah, right. So, and it's not just not to expand this beyond football, but it's not just a football thing. I think last year, I think maybe Auburn or someone, their basketball team had a completely new roster. Like, how do you handle that? So at a certain point, it's going to come back, like you said, it's going to come back to the center, and we're going to get stuff evened out a little bit more. But right now it's wild, but I think sooner rather than later there's going to be a little bit more regulation.
Yeah, I mean there has to, right? And it's diminishing the product. You turn on a game and you can't even see guys who, you see guys who transferred 3 times before they land at the team they're playing with, and you're like,
Right.
So, and then when it comes to graduation or donorship or alumni stuff, who does he swear allegiance to, or who does he give his affinity? Like, it's just a bizarre world. And then, like, when it comes down to the big thing here is like FCS group of 6 becomes poaching grounds, right? And then you shift it to where really your only Power 4 schools are the schools that have that authority or that permission to coach hard, right? Because where are they going from there? You're going to pull a Nico and ask for more money, end up getting less money than you were going to get at Tennessee, and be on a trash roster at UCLA, get your coach fired because Coach X smacks you on live TV in the Rose Bowl. Come on now. Like, let's think about what we're doing here. And then also it's super incumbent upon these kids to make sure they're getting the right kind of advice, right? Yeah. Dan makes a great point here. And the last point I want to touch on this, there's still around 1,100 players in the transfer portal. They never found a new home. You do not want to transfer where you were the guy just to be a depth piece on someone else's roster because you got, 10, 20 grand? Now, if you need that financial incentive and it can change your family's course or trajectory because of it, I get it. Who knows what we would have done. But at the end of the day, you got to think, man, you're living a long life. If you don't believe in yourself and in your competencies and skill sets outside of ball, or to grow into something valuable outside of ball, like, boy, you got bigger problems, I would say.
And here's the biggest deal. Like, I want you guys to really understand this. And like, I know people are going to hate that I bring this up, like Tucker Kraft, for example. Like, bro, they was trying to pay him, but Tucker knew. Like, obviously, Tucker would have done fine there, right? But Tucker knew if I go there and I do any worse, my draft stock is tanked. Right. And now they're looking at me crazy. Right?
Exactly.
Like, if I stay here at South Dakota State and I am the man, I'm gonna get what I got coming to me. Delayed gratification, right? Like, you don't cash in. You can't cash in.
Alabama, they were gonna offer him like 7 figures, or not 7, 6 figures, right?
Close.
Now it's paying dividends because he was still a badass at SDSU, and now look at what he's doing in Green Bay. He's going to make that back tenfold,
Mason McCormick, Isaiah Davis. You look at this stuff, and guys, you realize anchoring in, building a culture, being a part of something that wins is also put into the calculus when these guys are evaluating talent. Mark Gronowski, he was, notorious for championing the fact that when he was getting evaluated, they said that it really didn't make that much of a difference. Now, Mark left, 1, because he got a big bag, and 2, because he is noble enough. He did everything he was going to do at State, really, and he wanted Chase to get his opportunity at South Dakota State, where he transferred into from baseball at Nebraska to try to get an opportunity one day. So, every guy has to go his own way and take all this stuff into consideration. But just know, like, anchoring in, committing, and playing that long game, delaying gratification is really important, especially when you look at, it's going to be a tough year for Washington State. It was going to be anyway, regardless of how many people they took. It's going to be a tough year for Iowa. It just will be. They don't get enough skill. Can't wait to watch the game tonight, though. Everybody go support Mark tonight at 7:00 there on Fox. Also, look at what's happening at Northwestern. I feel Wildy's balling out. I feel for him. Evan balling out, but it's a tough team. Tough team, right?
And a lot of times, like that FBS stuff, like, it sounds sweet, and like that money sounds sweet. And like sometimes, like, it is sweet. But like when you get out there, if you really love the game, bro, you're gonna be miserable if you're playing. Like, if you go somewhere and you're not playing, or if you're playing and you guys are ass, like, you're not gonna enjoy that. I don't care who you are. Like, I don't care how selfish of a player you think you are. Like, man, I'm getting paid and I'm doing well. Like, bro, no. Like, you're going to go out there and hate your life. You're going out there and lose.
I mean, that's a great point. Davin Stoffel, really good player, transfers to Illinois, really good team, not really accumulating many stats.
Yeah, he really has, except for mental errors. I watched him cut a guy loose like 2 weeks ago. I'm being a hater. I don't care.
And you're transferring from arguably a better tight end, not arguably, emphatically a better tight end factory than Illinois.
No one cares about Illinois. Like, bro, I don't care what position you play. If you at South Dakota State and you a tight end and you leave, you're tripping, bro. Like, because I'm saying, like, bro, you're tapped in enough to where, like,
let them know.
Let's say when it's time for your pro day and all that, Dan Jackson can call Dallas Goedert and be like, hey, I need you to talk to this guy. He can call Tucker Kraft and say, hey, I need you to talk to this guy. And Dan's a lovable enough guy to where he can do it. And they would listen.
Yes.
But, like, guess what?
Zach, you hit home on that right there. It's relationships, man. It's not always about who has the best film. It's not always about, what stats a guy puts up. If you get the ear of a prominent decision maker, that is a needle mover.
That is how it goes, man. That is exactly how it goes.
Right. Well, enough of us ranting about that. I don't think that's going to change. I'm sure we'll have many more conversations as it relates to the state of college football. But we should start to wrap this up with our quarter one recap. We are 25% of the way through our schedule for the year in 2025. What are our overall takeaways from the games we've played?
Defense is insanely surprising. Like, I did not expect to see that many new faces make that big of an impact right away. I'm excited to see what our front seven can do. Backs at our DBs, I think that, they're also a younger group, but I'm excited to see what they can do also. But we're going to be a front seven heavy defense this year, and I'm A-okay with that. I love how that looks. For offensive wise, most of my concerns about Chase have been like, I feel like, hey, Chase is our guy. We're going to go to the promised land. It's going to be with him, right? I think interior O-line leaves a little bit to be desired. Receivers, right? Lofton Ogroski, that's pretty much all I have to say about our receivers. Our tackles have done well. Tight ends could be better in the run game. Special teams, I think our punter's actually pretty good. Other than that,
I agree.
I think he's a rock star. Like, he's good.
I think he's averaging like 47 and change per punt.
Yeah, he's nice. And obviously, like, our kicking situation, we're going to need to find out who's going to be our guy there. But other than that, it's my thoughts on the whole squad.
I would agree. And just to kind of transition from your points, I think, with a team with as many new pieces, you would think you'd have more questions than answers. And I think we have a lot of really solid answers to this point in the season, especially given the type of caliber opponents we played. I think when you look at our special teams, yes, we do need to find a kicker. We look at our interior offensive line, yes, we do need to play with more tenacity, more consistency in executing our responsibility, working off better double teams to create more consistent run lanes and not allow penetration early. And we do, shout out to Gata, need to keep establishing an RB2, a solidified RB2.
Facts.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say Corey Blair is gonna be that guy before it's all said and done. And that's taking nothing away from Basinger. I really like him too, but really want to see how that continues to play out. Stack, you pretty much covered it, and I don't want to double up on anything you'd say. I will just say, with respect to Chase Mason, to go out to Montana State in your second ever start against an 11-man defense and throw back shoulder fade touchdowns when the heat is on, throw a beautifully dialed up play action tight end touchdown from 25 yards out on the first play. Excellent. To scramble around, not put the ball in harm's way. Just really, really solid output from Chase. And again, his arm couldn't be more live, which you never know when we're going to need to call upon that, right? So really excited there. From a defensive perspective, I want to see what our safeties got. I think they can play better. And I think certain times in coverage we get caught peeking or looking a little bit maybe, and we're not fully in phase. So I'd like to see that. And then who's going to continue to step up as edge rushers when we start to play more prominent competition, like your Illinois States, like your Youngstown States that have, Rittenhouse, and Youngstown State has a nice little QB as well that can put some stuff together and can extend plays unstructured. So what's going to happen there? And then can Cullen continue to maintain the rate of playing that he's producing with?
Yeah, I think if Cullen can stay on this, wrap it up on, I guess, the defense. But if Cullen can stay on this, he's probably going to be on a lot of teams in the deal, which is tough because every play, someone's probably going to want to post this from our, but from I don't think that there's a team in the FCS.
Yeah, Zach, you're cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, we lost you, man.
But point being, Cullen is played really good, really well,
yep.
really well. So
linebackers in general,
linebackers,
CVT, Ullman, Cullen, they're just flying around. They're playing. Not that we're that surprised, we just hadn't seen it yet. And like Stack said, that front seven's going to be great. D-backs they'll gel eventually. I mean, they just stay true to their assignments. That defense is playing out of their minds, all things considered. On the offense, I guess, offensive line, the more they play together, the more they'll gel. We saw this in 22 when they weren't, playing that great in the out of conference, and then something clicked in conference and it was great. So it's hard to beat 3-0.
It really is. You can't get much better than 3-0 when you've defeated the three opponents that you were asked to. And when you look at what Lawfridge has been able to do, coming in, obviously Nate White, he and Lawfridge were in competition throughout spring ball, and to see him just obviously take over and do what he needed to do when his number was called is pretty impressive. And love the physicality he runs with, contact balance, his vision, and finally getting home this past weekend was exciting to see.
Yeah.
Both for him and Bullock and Corey Blair getting his first.
Yeah.
touchdown.
I think Blair's style will really complement Lawfridge's really well. It's shifty. It'll be kind of like a dare I say it, comparing to old, great players, but like finesse versus bulldozer type player that we had maybe with PS2 and young Isaiah Davis. Again, not predicting anything, but stylistically it's similar.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Scott. That's a really good point because I would agree. They do seem like a good complement in terms of style. And I want to see what they're going to do with catching the ball out of the backfield too. We haven't seen that happen a whole lot. It hasn't necessarily been a huge part of the scheme, given what we're doing. But don't put it past Coach E to dial stuff up because he really loved that swing pass extension of the run back in the Zenner, Mengarelli, Isaac Wallace days. So, good point, Dan. Although I don't think the guys ever really had a doubt that they'd be 3-0. As a fan base, we didn't know what we were going to have. So yeah, realistically, we're in a phenomenal spot. And shout out to all the fans that continue to show up and show out, and all the fans that continue to tune into us. We really appreciate it because it's exciting to be able to talk about a prominent blue blood program consistently that Stack and I played for, that Scott went to school at, and it's just phenomenal to be able to have a team that's not taking L's left and right and having to completely rebuild, right? I do want to say,
we could be USB.
Exactly. I do want to say our LBs, I'm really impressed at how athletic they are as a whole. I would say CBT is must-watch TV. That's a mouthful there, but yeah, it's just been really rewarding to see us reload in that group, considering we lost a ton from that group this past offseason. So right. I would grade special teams probably as the worst unit just in the kicking operation. Our coverage teams have been really good. Really only maybe one return thus far this year that has been pretty subpar in terms of coverage. And then when you look at what we're able to do, maybe we can bust some out, set up a score, and get some good opportunities here in the return game from our perspective. So a lot to look forward to. I would grade the overall team performance in aggregate as probably like a B-, B+. Want to see the offensive line play up to its potential and really show more tenacity. Like, they're physical for sure. Nate Adams, monster of a human being. Big Bo, young, getting a taste.
Mhm.
Shane Willenbring, young, adapting to the game. Hagan, rockstar. Q, I don't know. Q's been pretty good since I've watched, but there has been some times I think he probably feels he left some stuff on the table. So, Stack, you're a chain gang, trenches type guy, O-line. What do you think about our O-line play?
Am I good right now?
I think so.
Okay, cool. So just because my connection be going in and out, I'm sorry guys, but our O-line right now I think is just not at midseason form, right? And you're missing some of those plays where, when it's a counter and you really want to finish that guy, then you jump on them, or like, where you're running them off the screen, like stuff like that. I think that our guys are just kind of getting used to that. These younger guys are like, they're playing, they're doing their job. And sometimes, you have those mental farts where you cut dudes loose and stuff like that. But I just think it can't be our tackles play well, and then these guys need to do better, right? It's got to be across the board. Like, if we could all get on the same page, like, our offensive line is going to start looking a lot like our offensive line has the last decade here. So,
Yep.
Indeed. Yeah, it's got to be true 605 Hogs, not 602, not 603. Need the whole unit playing as one, right? We're not trying to rep what's 602. Is that Nebraska? No, that's Arizona. So,
402
we want that
Nebraska, right?
That's right. We want that Midwestern flow, not the Arizona O-line flow. No disrespect to the Cactus State or the Cactus Jacks that we've got. But yeah, so that's our take in a nutshell. I would say offense, I would rate them given their third down conversion percentage pretty low. I would rate the offense at like a C+, B-. Again, a lot of pieces we just haven't. I would say that's where the most questions are, given the third down, lack of conversions. And defensively, I think we've done pretty good. I would say defensively, we've probably played 10 really quality quarters, and including in overtime. But, just a lot more we can see in terms of collective team play on the offensive side of the ball, whether it's skill or whether it's the O-line or whether it's just converting on third down, play calling too, all that. So that's our take on it. It'll be interesting to see who handles the PAT field goal responsibilities. And other than that, gentlemen, any final thoughts on what we got?
No, just
Make the right decision on your improvement week.
no. Oh, I'm sure you heard that a lot, right?
Be responsibly wild if you're going to the Wild Hare. Our shout out to our sponsor. But other than that, Mercyhurst is coming in. That's our next opponent, transitioning to the FCS. They did play a like opponent in Sac State, and they played them hard and had the lead for a good amount of time and then took an L. Maybe it's a depth thing. We'll dive into that, and we'll cover them in more detail next Friday. But, it'll be interesting to see if we can get some more guys, some play, some run later on in the game. I think that was probably the biggest disappointment for me against Drake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Mercyhurst, they play Montana State tomorrow, so that could also be another interesting one. It'll be interesting to see how they hang with kind of more of the cream of the crop of the Big Sky. So a little bit of homework for Jacks fans, I guess, to do this weekend if they're so inclined.
That's right. And yeah, Ogroski, we knew he would be good, but I don't think any of us foresaw him playing to the level that he's been playing so far. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate it. It's always good to talk shop with you. Thank you for your time, and thank you to our listeners for your time as well, listening to us talk Jacks football. With that, have a good weekend. Shout out again to our sponsor, the Splitting Hairs podcast, the Wild Hare, Brookings, South Dakota. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you support them in any way you can. And with that, go big, go blue, go Jags.
Go Jacks.
Yes.